Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about some books that are coming out in 2025 that I am truly on the edge of my seat to have in my hot little hands. Make a cup of coffee, grab a notebook and a pen or the notes app on your phone, and get ready to jot down the names of these books that are coming out in 2025. Honestly, I'm gonna take one sip of this, and then it's probably not gonna be touched the rest of the video. So the day I'm filming this is actually a Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve. You're definitely not gonna see this on Christmas Eve, but you know, I have pre-ordered 18 books already that are coming out in 2025, and I gotta be honest, I have not been this excited about a book release year in a while. There are so many solid books that are coming out in 2025, and I cannot wait, especially because my Clear the Cart TBR challenge will be over and I can read whatever I want, whenever I want. Such a blessing, such a blessing. Okay, so I organized all the books that I have pre-ordered for 2025 into a note on my phone by month and then by date. So they're in the order that they're coming out, but keep in mind, I'm filming this late 2024, so these dates are obviously all subject to change. I looked on Goodreads and Amazon to get the release dates, so they're accurate as of December 24th, 2024, but take all the dates with a grain of salt, okay? So we are gonna start off, as I'm sure you can guess, with January, which is my birthday month, and there are 3 new releases that I am excited about that are coming out in January. So the first one is on January 7th, and it is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. Now, I should have said this at the beginning, I have not read the synopsis about most of these books. A lot of these are just auto buy authors for me. Like, they can write whatever they want and I'm gonna buy it. But I try to do a little bit of due diligence to prep for this video, so I do know that this Sarah Adams book, it's the 3rd one in the When in Rome series. So with Sarah Adams, I have a love-hate relationship with her. So I've read 3 series by her total, and this will be the only one that has more than 2 books so that I've read. So I tend to really enjoy the first book in a series by her and then really not vibe with the second book. So I've never read a 3rd book by her. So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Sarah Adams typically is known for writing closed door romances. So I don't know if this one fits that bill or not, but I do know that it is the 3rd book in the When in Rome series. And like I said with my pattern, I loved When in Rome. Practice makes perfect. I liked it, but I didn't love it. So I am very intrigued to see where this 3rd book in the series kind of falls for me. The only thing I know about this book is, number 1, I love the cover. Number 2 is that it is about 2 feuding 2nd grade teachers, which I'm just like, how cute is that? So that is the first release that I am looking forward to in 2025. Number 2 is coming out on January 21st, and it is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the 3rd book in the, I think it's called the Empyrean series. I don't know how to pronounce that either. The 4th Wing series, okay? And let me just tell you, 4th Wing, the 1st book in the series, had me on the edge of my seat. I read it years ago, absolutely ate it up. It made me feel so nostalgic. It gave me the same feelings that I felt back when I was a kid and I read Harry Potter, Divergent, Hunger Games, like all of those books. I'm not saying 4th Wing reminded me of those books, but it just gave me the same feelings. You know, like I was just so engrossed in the world and in the story and excited to follow the characters. So book 1, absolutely loved it. 5 stars. I think it was my top read of 2023, I want to say. And then Iron Flame came out earlier this year and I didn't love it. Now the ending, I have to know what happens in book 3 because that cliffhanger. But I will say that Iron Flame book 2 in the series was quite underwhelming for me. I feel like they really rushed to get it out and it didn't feel like a fully fleshed out story. It felt very kind of messy to me and a little bit clunky. So didn't love Iron Flame. It was like, I would read it again, but I'm interested to read book 3 and I hope it picks up right from the cliffhanger. And I really hope that it gives me the same kind of feelings as book 1 gave me and that it's a lot better than Iron Flame. The 3rd book that I'm excited that's coming out in January comes out January 28th and it is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. So I have only read one book by Hannah Bonham Young. That was this year, and it was Out on a Limb, and that was a 5-star read for me, like hands down, 5 stars, absolutely loved it. So I just went ahead and purchased this one. I do know that it's about high school sweethearts, which is a very near and dear trope to my heart because I am married to my high school sweetheart, and I know that it talks and deals with grief, which I am currently going through a season of grief. I recently lost my grandma, and so any books that have to do with grief, I've really been gravitating to because they have been very healing for me to read. So I am excited that this one comes out early in the year in January. So I've also heard, which fact check me on this, I think it's a companion novel to Out on a Limb, which if I get some more Win and Bo in my life, I will be a happy, happy girl. So those are the 3 books that are coming out in January. Next up, we're moving on into February. And I have 2 books that I have pre-ordered that I am so excited to come out in February. The first one comes out on February 11th, and it is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. So I have read all of the Love Life Farm series by B.K. Borison, and I really enjoyed a couple of them, and then some of them I thought were just okay, but I love the feeling that the series gives me. I feel like her writing, like she built such a cozy world with that series. This isn't part of that series, it's a new series. And the only thing that I know about it is that it gives the same vibes as Sleepless in Seattle, which sign me up, sign me up. So I'm very excited to read this one in February, and also I think the cover is so cute. And then the next book that I have pre-ordered in February, I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit. This book comes out on February 18th, and it's called Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. Now, I said that I'm jumping the gun because this is actually the second book in a series, and I haven't even read the first book yet. It is on my 2025 TBR. So the first book is called Heartless Hunter, and it is so high up on my 2025 TBR. Like I wanna read it in January or February. For some reason, when I hear people describe Heartless Hunter or The Crimson Moth, I think that's what it's called over in the UK, I am just so entranced by people's descriptions. And so I just have a feeling, like I have a feeling that it's gonna be a 4.5 or a 5-star read for me. I don't know, maybe it won't be, but because I felt that, I wanted to have the second book like ready. So I just went ahead and pre-ordered it without reading the first book of the series. And also, I think I mentioned this in that video too, but a couple people who got arcs of it said that the first book is great, but that the second book is like next level. So maybe I shouldn't have pre-ordered that one, but I'm really excited to have both books in the series like ready to go. Maybe I'll save Heartless Hunter to read in February and read them back to back. I don't know, we'll see. But either way, I have book 2 pre-ordered, and it will be on deck, ready to go on February 18th. Next up, we are heading into March. I think March is the month that has the most books that I personally have pre-ordered, and there are 4. The first one is on March 4th, and it is Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave by Elle Cosimano, I think is how you say her name, Cosimano, I'm not sure. This is the 5th book in the Finlay Donovan series. I think you can see the first one right there, yeah. And let me tell you, okay, so I've read all the other 4, like I'm caught up, and this is like a cozy mystery series. It's very funny, it's very like laugh out loud kind of vibes, but like don't take it too seriously because the storylines, I feel like as the books are progressing, the plots are just getting more and more outrageous, like very unbelievable. But I will say, I remember reading Finlay Donovan back in 2021, and it got me out of a reading slump. So that series just has such a special place in my heart. So I'm excited about it, but I also don't have super high expectations because like I said, I feel like as the books have gone on, like as the series has grown, it's just gotten more and more just kind of like, you're like, okay, really? It's still a good, goofy time. Like, I know it'll be a good palate cleanser to have. So I did go ahead and pre-order it. And then also on March 4th, I am so excited for this one. It is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. I love the name of that book. Promise Me Sunshine, like, so cute, so cute. So this is another one. I've only read one book by Cara Bastone. I read it in 2024, and it is called Ready or Not. 5-star read immediately. I absolutely adored her writing style, and I knew that I wanted to read anything else that she wrote. Honestly, I need to check. I don't know if Ready or Not was her debut novel or not, or if there's like a backlist that I need to get into. Well, I'll do research on my own time. So this is another book that's about grief, which when I read that, I was like, Okay. So that's all that I really know about this one, is that it is a story that involves grief. And so it's another one that I'm excited to read because I feel like it's just very relevant to the season of life that I'm in. And like I said, I know that I love Cara Bastone's writing, and I just have really high hopes for this one. I'm thinking that it's going to be a 5-star for me. So just saying, we'll have to see. The next one that comes out in March. So this one I didn't have pre-ordered, but after I read the one-line synopsis, I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. And it comes out on March 11th, and it's called Story of My Life by Lucy Score. So the reason that I was apprehensive to pre-order this one, I like Lucy Score, but I don't love Lucy Score. Like, she's definitely not an auto-buy author for me. However, let me just read you word for word what the little like one-liner says on Goodreads. And if you know me at all, you'll be like, okay, like obviously you're gonna buy that book. So it says, a Gilmore Girls meets Schitt's Creek redemption rom-com. Okay, Gilmore Girls is my #1 comfort show. I've watched it more than 10 times, like all the way through since I was a kid. And so any book that reminds me of Gilmore Girls, or that somebody says reminds them of Gilmore Girls, I'm gonna buy it, okay? And then Schitt's Creek is another show that I just have watched more than one time through, and I don't do that often with shows, so it's a big deal when I do. So putting those two together, #1, I'm just like, wait, what is this gonna be like? Meshing together Alexis and Lorelai Gilmore. Like, I gotta know. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it. I really don't know what it's about at all, other than Schitt's Creek, Gilmore Girls. Like, that's all I need to know, let's be honest. So the last book that is coming out in March that I have pre-ordered comes out, and this one I'm sure that you've heard of, comes out March 18th, and it is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. So this is a part of the Hunger Games series, and it's actually Haymitch's story, which he's one of my favorite characters in the series, and I cannot wait to, I think and I hope that it's kind of taking us back to when he was in the Hunger Games, and it walks us through like his journey of being in the Hunger Games. That's what I'm hoping for. I haven't read the summary, so I'm not sure, but either way, if anything Hunger Games related comes out, young adult Jess would be so upset with adult Jess if I didn't read it. So like, I'm automatically gonna read anything that comes out in the Hunger Games world. So I am really excited, and this will probably be one that I read like as soon as it comes out, because I don't want any spoilers for it, you know? So those are the books that I have pre-ordered in March. Next we have April, and there are 3 books in the month of April that I have pre-ordered for 2025. I feel like all 3 of these have so much hype behind all of them. So I'm like, should I just skip over April and just go into May? Because I'm sure you know about these 3 already, but of course I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna talk about them. So on April 1st is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is one of my top 3 favorite authors. I have read every single one of her books. Can you see them, or are they? No, they're behind me, behind this chair. I have read every single one of her books. I have given her books no less than a 4.5. Maybe I've given 1 or 2, like a 4, but I love her writing style so much. I love how she builds a character. I love how she tells a story. I feel like she has such a skill of writing these like light-hearted romances, but with such heavy and real themes kind of woven throughout them, and I just get so engrossed in the story. She writes the type of books that as I'm reading them, I see a movie playing in my head, and that is not the case when I am reading most books. So I truly cannot wait. Don't even know what it's about at all. I know that the male main character is a veterinarian and that he looks like a Greek god. That is all I know. That is all I need to know. I will read anything that Abby Jimenez writes, so cannot wait for April 1st. I've seen people share reviews who have gotten arcs of the book say that it's her best one yet, and I feel like a lot of people really love Just for the Summer, her book that came out last year, or 2024. So if this one tops that one, I'm just like, whoa. I think Yours Truly is my favorite book of Abby Jimenez's, so I'll have to see if this one tops that one, but I cannot wait. And then on April 8th, we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts coming out. So this is book 3 in the Powerless trilogy. technically book 4, I guess, because there's like a novella thrown in there. Powerless, I had a great time. Reckless, I had an okay time. So I'm ready to see how this trilogy kind of ties up, how we're ending this, how we're pulling everything together. I think my excitement for this trilogy has faded as the years have gone on and my reading tastes have just developed and changed, but I'm for sure not gonna leave it open-ended. Like if this is the last book in the trilogy, I'm gonna order it and I'm gonna read it just so that I can like be done with the series and move on mentally, if anything. So I'm not like so excited for this one, but like, I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna be able to finish a trilogy. And then on April 22nd, I feel like everybody in the world, I feel like even if you're not a reader, you know that this one is coming out, and it is Emily Henry's newest release, which is A Great Big Beautiful Life. And I have a complicated relationship with Emily Henry. Beach read and funny story, over the moon. Absolutely adore them. They each hold such a special place in my heart. All of her other books, I feel like were so for me, okay? And I know people are like ride or die for Happy Place and for Book Lovers, but those two just did not hit for me. So, and then People We Meet on Vacation, I feel like that's just like a whole different thing. So I am very intrigued to see. What I will say, the books that hit of Emily Henry's for me hit. So I really hope this one is one that does. And the way, when I think of Emily Henry's books, I feel like kind of reading them feels a little bit mundane, but I feel like if you connect with her characters, because she writes such real, developed feeling characters, like if you connect with them, you're gonna care about whatever is happening in the story, even if it's mundane. The only thing that I know about that one is that it's about 2 writers and they're competing to write this story about this like famous person. That's all that I know. So I feel like with Emily Henry's books, no matter what comes out, she's an auto-buy author for me. I'm gonna give them a chance just because when they hit, they hit. And so it's always worth it to me to like take that risk. Like, is it gonna hit? I don't know. But I feel like anything she writes, it's still enjoyable to read, even if it doesn't have the heaviest impact on me. So those are the 3 books that I have pre-ordered for April. May is also another month that has 3 books that I have pre-ordered. The 13th is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. So this is book 3, and I'm pretty sure the last book of the Lakefront Billionaires series. And this is the only series that I've ever read by Lauren Asher. I've read books 1 and 2. I loved book 1. I read it in 2023 and I still think about it, which I didn't expect when I read that book. And then book 2 I read this year and it was cute. I enjoyed it. I wasn't as obsessed with it as book 1. So I'm excited to go into book 3 and see like how we're tying it up. Honestly, I don't even know who it's about. I don't really care. I'm gonna read it one way or another. Now that this series is wrapping up, I'm like, what other Lauren Asher books are out there that I absolutely need to read? Because I feel like her stories are just very engrossing. So that is coming out May 13th. May 20th. This one, I was on the fence on whether or not I wanted to pre-order it. The Love Haters by Catherine Center, and it seems a little bit cheesy to me. So that's why I was on the fence. I loved the rom-commers when I read that by her in 2024, but for some reason, whenever I saw this cover, it just didn't excite me. But I went ahead and pre-ordered it anyways because I did really enjoy the rom-commers. This one's about a character named Katie who is trying to like redeem her career or something like that. I don't know, for some reason, I just have a feeling it's gonna feel a little bit juvenile. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm going to absolutely love it. I hope I do. I hope I do. So that's one that I pre-ordered, but I was kind of like on the fence on whether or not I wanted to pre-order it. And then the last one that's coming out in May that I have pre-ordered is May 27th. That would have been my grandma's birthday. So I'm very grateful that It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan is coming out because I feel like it'll give me something to do on that day because I know I'm gonna be very sad because that'll be my grandma's first birthday not here anymore. And she passed away on Thanksgiving in 2024. So I know it's gonna be a hard day. So I'm very grateful that Annabelle Monaghan has a new release coming out. So like I said, it'll just give my mind something to focus on that day. I have no idea what it's about, but I mentioned this in my last video. I read one book by Annabelle Monaghan, Nora Goes Off Script. I read that this year or 2024 and I loved it so much. Her writing style, she's another one who her writing, I feel like I can picture a movie in my head as I'm reading. I was just so invested in that book and so I'm very excited to have another one to read by her. I have all of her other books on my 2025 TBR. I shared them in my last video. So I should read those ones early on in the year so that that by the time this one comes out in May, I'll be able to read it right when it comes out, and I don't feel like I need to catch up on other books. I don't know if any of her books are like interconnected or anything like that, but I need to check on that, because if they are, I want to make sure to read all the other ones before this one comes out. So those are the books that I have pre-ordered that are coming in May, and then June I have 2. This first one, I could scream. I'm not going to, because my toddler is napping across the hall, and if I woke her up, I would be so upset with myself. But on June 3rd, Atmosphere, A Love Story by Taylor Jenkins Reid is coming out. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my top 3 favorite authors. I don't know who my third one is. I know, and I don't even know who my first one is. I know that Abby Jimenez and Taylor Jenkins Reid are very, very, very up there for me, because I have never read a book by either of them that I have not loved or that I haven't felt moved by. And so I am just so excited that she has a new book coming out, because she didn't have one come out in 2024. So this one, the only thing that I know is that it takes place in the 1980s, and the backdrop for it is like NASA. Like, it's space themed, which her last book, Carrie Soto Is Back, when I heard that it was based on a tennis player, I was like, oh, boring. No offense if you play tennis, but I don't. And I don't know anything about tennis. And so I was like, oh, this book is gonna be so boring for me. I loved it. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars back in 2023. It was like January 2023 when it came out. So she can take anything and make it something that I am interested in. So if TJR is gonna write a book about space, give it to me. I'm in. Sign me up. And then the second book that I have pre-ordered for June, this is another auto buy author for me, and it comes out June 17th, right? Yeah. And it is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. And I don't know what this is about. I think it's about a songwriter and a musician, but that is literally all I know. I don't know anything about them, but I don't care. If Ashley Poston puts out a book, I'm going to buy it, because for some reason, even though I haven't been obsessed with every single one of her books, like, I was kind of let down by A Novel Love Story, but the way that her writing sounds in my mind when I read it, it's just so whimsical, and I don't know, it just paints such a pretty picture in my mind. Like, I can't really explain it. It's just like, you have to read her books. Her prose is just top notch. Like, even if I'm not invested in the story, and you might be like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But like, I can't explain it. That's the best that I can explain it. She's an auto buy author for me. Maybe she's my third. I don't know. That's a bold statement. I'll have to report back on that after I read this one. And then the last book that I have pre-ordered for 2025, and I haven't really heard anybody talk about this one in these kinds of videos that I've seen on YouTube, is September 9th, and it's called People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. All I know is that it's about a small town woman who is wanting to like spread her wings. That's all I know. But again, she's another one. Maybe she's one of my top 3 favorite authors. As of right now, even though I've only read one book by Hannah Bonham Young, I love that one book so much that in my mind she's an auto buy author. But I do have the other books that I haven't read by her already on my 2025 TBR. Like, they're on my TBR cart, they're on my shelf, ready to go. So maybe after I read those, I will change my mind and she won't be an auto buy author, or maybe she will stay an auto buy author. Let's hope. But she's just, I think she's like making her way up to like one of my favorite authors, as long as all of her other books I love as much as I did Out on a Limb. So those are the 18 books that I have pre-ordered, and I'm so excited that are releasing in 2025. Let me know, what books are you excited that are coming out in 2025 that you're just like, on release day, I'm canceling all plans and I will be dialed in reading this book, because I don't know about all of them. So maybe I missed one that I absolutely will want to have pre-ordered. So comment below, let me know what book you are, or books. You can say more than one, like, please, like, give me a list. Give me a list of the books that you're excited about that are coming out in 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much, and I hope you have the best day ever.